I want to know. So this is interesting. I meet people all the time in Center City, South Jersey, where I am, and they bring up your name. You got to meet Devon Dinofa. You guys would get along. He has crazy energy.
Yeah, that's true.
Is it genetics, coffee,
No.
mania, drive? Where does your passion come from?
It's just the excitement of, like, I'm sure that they mention you and other people in, like, business settings. Like, I'll give you an example. I love sports, right? I don't do fantasy football. So if you were talking to me a conversation on fantasy football, I'd probably be sitting here like this, like, yeah. You know, my favorite team's the Eagles. That's all I really care about. You know, I typically focus on them. But when it comes to, a lot of people probably say I'm very energetic, because what happens is when you're, you know, living in your truth and your passion on what you're doing, like, I look at life as a big game, right? So, you know, what at 31-year-old Devin is what I have planned for my future and where I want to go. Like, every day I'm out trying to make it happen. So every day is a piece of the puzzle that ends up, you know, coming together in the end somehow.
Wow.
But I don't know that. It's the excitement of every day, not knowing what's going to happen, but what you're doing is going to lead to bigger things that are happening. You know, so when people see me, whether it's business, with my real estate company, whether it's just, you know, being out at a networking event, like, I love connecting people. I love talking to people. I love helping people get, you know, better connection, or just helping people in general. You know, so when I speak about stuff that I'm passionate for and I'm excited about, that's when you get this
Yeah.
which rarely I'm a different type of person. You know, obviously I just had a baby. So when I'm at home with my baby, you're going to hear me talking goo goo gaga, rolling around the carpet and all that stuff, which is pretty much when I'm happiest, you know, with my baby and with my wife. But yeah, I mean, that's probably why you get that feel or that response from people, why he's so energetic, because, man, I'm living in my passion. I'm living in my purpose every day.
You said your truth.
Yeah.
Your truth. How do you define your truth? Is that something that you...
It's what's true. Like, so truth is a vision on where I'm going and the belief in it. It's, to me, like, this is how I think of it in my head. Maybe everybody has some different version of it, but, like, you know, right now, that's where my head is, where my belief is for my future and what I'm doing every day. That's true to me. Like, I believe it to be true where I'm going in the end. So every day I'm trying to, you know, pursue that truth into my big vision for my life. You know, and that's not just business. You know, that's you know, you hear it all the time, billionaires committing suicide.
Yeah.
You know, people rich, unhappy, which is why my coach now mastered, you know, the reason what intrigued me to go to him was he mastered being very successful in business, but he also is a world thought leader. He mastered inner happiness. So sometimes when I have my coaching calls with him, you know, he introduced me to, you know, a thing called meditation, which has changed the game for me. And it was just based off of a simple app that I started. Because I asked him, I'm like, I'm seeing all these big entrepreneurs, man. And, you know, the people that we were just talking about, these people with 8 different companies, $500 million businesses. And the one thing that they all have in common, they say every morning, Ed Milet, one of them too, he sits down and he goes, listen, man, he goes, meditation helps me in so many ways. So I asked my coach, I'm like, listen, I'm hearing about this too much. You know, real estate is just one of the avenues I have going on. Everything that I want in my life is bigger than real estate. This is just one avenue that I want to take to help people and generate income. But I asked him, I'm like, what is, just so you know too, in case you want to, he's actually going to be, I'm doing an event with him next week, the 27th in Philly.
Oh, that's fantastic.
His name's David Meltzer.
I'm speaking with him in Arizona on October 6th.
Awesome, yeah.
David Meltzer, are you serious?
Yeah, he's coming next week.
No, I need to meet him before. Yeah,
no doubt.
Wow, holy moly. It's a small community, man.
Yeah, dude.
David Meltzer, one of his cousins is really close with Jeremy Haynes, who is a huge influence in my life.
Okay.
Like, we're all connected.
Yeah, man.
To treat people right.
And how I got to him is a whole different
You're working
story,
with David Meltzer. That's amazing.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
he's one of the
that's
most serious thought leaders there is, actually, like, on the planet.
Yeah, man. it's
How
again,
big of an
it's
impact has that had on your everything?
Dude, it just made me like, it made me, one, after speaking with him, like, you know, every other week or whatever, what you start realizing is that these are real people. Like, these aren't robots. These are just people like us that, you know, sit around a table and bullshit, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, when it comes, they take their future and their personal development with their minds so serious, which then, you know, leads to massive results.
Uh-huh.
And the one big thing, too, is that they, you know, which is why, you know, I love him, too, man. It's just like, his big thing is helping people. You know, like, I remember one coaching call I had with him, and, you know, what I'm really deep diving into is coaching. And one of my big asks from him was to coach me on how to be a coach. And, you know, I talked to him, I said, listen, I said, there's some times when I run into questions from people who are doing a business that or built something that I've never done before. You know what I mean? We can only do so much. It's not like we've done everything in the world. So I said, how would you, you know, handle it? He goes, dude, he goes, listen, he goes, one piece of value that you're going to bring to your clients is resources. He goes, whenever you want, he goes, you tie them in on a 5-minute phone call with me. He goes, I have 5 minutes for everyone. Now, a guy who's the CEO of the biggest sports agency company in the world, has an unbelievable podcast where he interviews Hall of Famers, professional athletes, the biggest entrepreneurs in the world. And there's probably 15 other things that he does. For him to say that, you know what I mean? Like, just that sentence made such an impact on me.
Wow.
To where it's so easy when you start doing good at some things to kind of get away from being humble or saying, you know, man, I'm too busy, I don't have time. But when you get around people who are doing some serious, who are impacting the world in a way that they do in business and in life, and they still have the time to go out and help people and be nice to people, like, that's the example that I look at. And when I follow him, when I learn from someone like him, and I have other mentors too, and it's the same thing, man. Like, I can always get on the phone call.
Was that a big paradigm shift, mindset shift when he said that to you?
Oh,
like,
100%.
Hey, I have 5 minutes for anybody.
100%.
Was the intent in bringing that up is that you should reach out to anyone, or is that one of the lessons, or was there a couple lessons in that? Because it seems like a lot of people wouldn't even reach out to someone like that for 5 minutes.
Well, a lot of people, and one of the big things that he says too is, listen, so many people are afraid to ask because they don't. People who are extremely successful want to help other people. And he says, I feel like I'm on a podcast pretty much selling David Meltzer, but for the most part, I want to give you guys what I've learned from him. And he says,
one of the most impressive humans. So
yeah, man, it's unbelievable. But he says, when you reach out to someone who is where you want to be in whatever part of life, they want to help you. And then what happens is when they help you with that sentence or that phone call or whatever that may be, then you become an investment to them. You know, so then they want to check up on you. Like, listen, you know, I do good in real estate. You know, I how do I say this? I affect a lot of people in a positive way, to where I have a lot of people who reach out to me wanting to get into the real estate business.
Yeah.
And sometimes what happened was, to answer your question, was I'm so busy with you know, I sit on boards of nonprofit organizations.
You're part of the young millennial, or no, the young
YB Connected.
Yeah, I see you there.
I have a real estate development team. I do insurance. I'm trying to learn the coaching career. I'm also with my personal development. I'm going to New York at a mastermind in New York Yankee Stadium via David Meltzer, thankfully.
Oh, amazing, yeah.
This weekend. And it's so easy, and I just had a daughter, so it's so easy when people want to reach out.
The wife.
Oh, well,
That's
not work, though. That's not, I'll be honest with you, man.
All
when you find the right one, that's not work.
Well, that's a whole other I'm going to have that.
Exactly.
I learned from you. But so I'm sorry.
So, but to that point, and listen, as we go, you'll realize, which I got to work on, which is why this is all good. I got to stop. I can talk my ass off forever. So I have to, like, really, sometimes I lose focus and go off onto something else. But it all is around the same meeting.
Yeah, like, this is why we're doing this. Yeah. I genuinely, when I started investing time in learning about other people, I learned more about me.
Yeah, no doubt. Yep.
More about me.
100%.
More about who I wanted to be. More about who I'd like to work on my side. You attract who you are.
Yep. 100%.
not what you want. So no, I appreciate it. It's amazing, and it's so interesting how it's taken us a couple of years to kind of go full circle to get to know each other, but here we are.
Yep.
So like, going back to telling your truth, it's a hot topic right now in and around the personal development industry, and also the intellectual industry. There's a gentleman by the name of Jordan B. Peterson has a book called The 12 Rules for Life. Have you heard of it?
No.
Right now, it's I'll send you some stuff, and vice versa, I'm sure. He talks about telling the truth, and that, especially men, in our age demographic and the time that we live in, there's the millennials, the Generation Z, the yennials, like they keep making up names. It seems as though there's a lot of friction right now between the current culture, socially, economically, educationally, and our age demographics. And he talks about how important it is to tell the truth.
Yep.
And the first thing you brought up was, and it sparked some few thoughts in my head, that you're following your truth, and you're clear on your truth, and you're convicted on your truth, and you're personally developing. You have one of the greatest thought leaders in the world working with you, meditating, multiple businesses, a family. And you are kicking ass, because 90% of real estate agents aren't even in the business in 18 months. Yeah. And you aren't just dominating that, you're doing well at other businesses at the same time. So it's just like a flush of emotion and thought. I'm like, telling the truth is so important. My question is, what are your thoughts on our culture right now, our age group right now, and how have you taken accountability in that conversation, or how much thought of it, because you're not really the majority.
This is my favorite. This is possibly my favorite question. So, me and John, come over here real quick.
John,
sit down.
Get in here. Let's talk.
So John, this is a friend of mine who I met through networking. He's a videographer, and he's starting his business. I don't want to say starting his business. He's mastered it, but he's trying to scale just like everybody else.
Nice, yeah.
And one of the biggest things is we're doing I guess they're called, to your point, where everything's evolving. It's called a vlog, a video log.
Okay.
And the biggest thing is how when people say, to your point, Devin has so much energy, it's because I'm not a bullshitter, right? I go and say to him, when I'm putting out these videos, the whole purpose of our documentary is to show footage and the day in the life of someone who believes that they're going to be, somewhere with a place where their vision is taking them, believes in where their end goal is, but isn't there yet. One of the biggest things that I put on there is, when I say this, because you get a lot of people out there who are with social media acting like they're these big gurus and this and that and the other thing, and they haven't built this, or they're not there yet, but they can still bullshit people and sell them on stuff.
100%.
Right? So my biggest thing when we're putting out this footage is I want to get the message clear. Listen, I am just a normal person, right? I'm not there yet, right? I'm not this big, like David Meltzer or these people that, that are writing these books that we know who the true movers and shakers are. I'm full with gratitude on the impact that I'm making right now with a lot of people that I've been getting the responses from. But for the most part, I'm not there yet. But what I want to show people is, listen, I want to show people the everyday struggles of what it takes to get there. But I want people to see that so they can look at someone and be, you know what? I love watching this because all I see on social media and TV now is the people that are already successful and already there. And what happens is they get discouraged when they're not there yet. And when they're putting in this work every single day and they don't see the result tomorrow, right? So what I want to show people is that life. Wow. Look, I'm this, being a piece. This is one of the steps that it takes to get your name out there and your brand to affect as many people as you can. Does it mean that tomorrow I'm going to be in my end goal dream? Yeah. No, but you got to be excited about stuff like this. I'm not getting a check for this. You're not getting a check for this. People need to see that there's some things that you're going to have to do every single day where you're not getting paid for. You're going to have to, this mastermind event, I'm paying thousands of dollars to go to be in a room. The people that are going to this mastermind event paid $25,000 for 3 events throughout the year. The reason why is because they're being around people that will educate, teach them discipline and mindset and whatever cheat codes there are to be wherever you're trying to be as soon as possible. They're going to teach them stuff that's going to save them time to get there. And what's time? Time is money. So to answer that question again, see how I just went off on 15 different
gold
stories. But the thing is, and I'm sitting there, I was like, I don't want this stuff to come out and me to seem like, oh, he's just trying to be another Gary Vee or some shit or some Andy Frisella. I want it to be like, listen, I want to show a video and a life of someone who's trying to get there. I want to show you the journey, because there's not a lot of content out there.
And social media or even if you aren't attempting to create biases, that's what propaganda is. The medium is the message, McKay Elliott said. Right?
And the bottom line is,
changed. Now it's Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah.
So I could not try to be anything.
Yeah.
But just by wearing a very nice suit, everyone in the world would assume I'm a millionaire.
Yeah.
And never once I've ever told anyone I'm a wealth coach.
Right. Yeah. 100%.
I could honestly, I should be wearing a robe because I could give a two shits about it. Yeah. It's not why I'm doing my business, and we all have our own purpose and our own vision. Yeah. But I love what you're saying about vlogging and putting it out there, your journey, because they can see who you are and who you are matters. So how do you feel about the millennial conversation? The amount of please, John. Before don't leave.
But what I was going to say is that this is what you guys doing, or what you're doing right now, is really what's important. It's that documenting the journey, so that your conversations that you're having with different entrepreneurs, business owners, speakers, authors, but the fact that you're documenting it and you're sharing it as just like a real big value.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have you guys
to your
continue
point too,
on now.
What I seen from you, what I seen from you too is, like this is part of your journey, right? Today, I come up here, and you're setting up your own video camera because your videographer couldn't make it; he was getting married, right? Just little stuff like that. People need to see. Like, we're not too proud to do, to sweep to do the dirty work, to sweep the floors, because at the end of the day, when you talk about culture, if you're not leading by example, the culture's gone. That's how I feel. I'm not an expert.
Well,
I'm
what
not
you
an
said
expert,
is profound, because Alexander the Great would agree with you.
Yeah,
he had arrows.
I never
in
met
his
him
stomach.
either.
He had arrows in his stomach, man, from leading from the front. Napoleon too. I mean, they might not have seen him, but seriously, what is your? Okay, let's talk about leadership for a second, because what you said is profound. Because so few people do that. Yeah. So few people lead by example. Where did you learn that? Was it a who? Was it a mentor? Or was it a what? Like, was it something that happened?
Sometimes sometimes just through life, when you really, a lot of times people go through a lot of experience that they can learn from, but they don't take the time to really think about the lessons, like when things happen. Like if somebody goes, like they always say, listen, it's your fault if you make the same mistake twice. Learn from your mistakes.
Yes.
It's not it's a learning experience. It's not a loss, it's a learning experience. So sometimes when you just sit down and when you really think like, some people don't want to be leaders. They don't want that responsibility. They don't want to have to be a complete, I don't want to say like robot, but like you have to be so disciplined to where the outside world is like, wow, that, like that dude is always on, like he's living it like every single day. But to a lot of people, they think that that's quote unquote work. But when you're in your truth and happiness and in your journey, it's not. But what happens is what I started looking at was, who did what made me listen to someone the most?
Interesting.
Right? It's just when you it's not that hard to you don't have to be a world thought leader for shit like this. It's just like, think about you, like
high functioning human.
Just be like, who did you find yourself gravitating more towards? And most of the time, it's the person that, or the people that were doing, like knowing that, listen, this person's asking this of me, and I know at any moment he will do anything himself that he's asking of me. And when somebody's out there, and it doesn't have to be their job title that they're doing to make someone lead by example. It's just when you see someone out there all the time trying to build a business, which then helps the people that are with him, and someone being a good person every single day to where they know it's not bullshit. Like this dude really loves community service, giving back. That's like a medicine for me. And this dude every day is trying to find ways to give value to people and to help people, and also trying to find ways, if it's someone that's, I always say that they're my partners. I don't say that these people are under me or anything like that. If it's somebody that's with your company, I need them to know that, listen, every day that guy's trying to make this company better and trying to find more ways to bring business to this company so we can all make more money, have a lot of fun.
So
and help
those
a lot of people.
thoughts have been an important part of your life from the very beginning of your business career? Is that something that started for you in college?
No, I didn't go to college.
Was it sports that you played or something of that nature?
Well, sports, a big thing. You know what I mean? You see it all the time. I mean, look,
what was your sport?
Football. I did track. I did baseball until high school when they can start throwing curveballs. I had no parts of that.
Like, for me,
Yeah.
I'm in a business that I was a partner in. I was Robin. My mentor is Batman. I wasn't 1,000th of who I have made a decision to be today.
Yeah.
Okay? Immature, insecure, a lot of these things still are occurring.
Yeah.
But immature, insecure, extremely self-absorbed, extremely positional in my leadership. I learned who I was the opposite of who I thought I would be when I owned this business where my employees didn't respect me. And that's what drove me to actually realize that I didn't lead by example. I didn't follow what I wanted them to do. I didn't do any of it. I actually did the opposite. I was the problem. I was the cancer. That made me rip me apart, man. And I read many, many books, but the 5 Levels of Leadership, John Maxwell, when he talks about, have you ever heard of that one? I feel like you've read that or something because I feel like you embody that.
I've heard
of embody it in some way.
John Maxwell, I've heard of him.
But he talks about these positional leaders, someone that just tells you what to do.
Yeah.
Permissional leaders, someone that listens and actually genuinely wants to get to know you before they show you what to do. And then he talks about the production leader, someone that leads by example. And I'm like, wow, I'm none of these. Oh, I'm the positional guy. For me, that experience and then reflecting on, like you just said, you look back and you say, what can I learn? I'm like, wow, this is why my life has never, it's been like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not to say that in that moment, I was different. No, in that moment, the journey started. Yeah. So I'm just curious, was it a specific experience that got you thinking that way, or maybe a whole bunch of them? Like,
so I listen to, one, I have great mentors that lead by example. David, with the condo shops, Ben and Garard, phenomenal man. People, man. And just as an example of they are big too on treating your people right, like treating them like family. And I noticed too, it's funny because my wife even said, as busy as, Ben and Garard are, at any moment when you talk to them, you have their undivided attention. Like, they actually are giving a shit about what you're saying and listening to what you're saying and responding to what you're saying. Sometimes when you get around it's just the busy man, right? Or leaders that, they're giving you input, like when you give a boss input and you're like, are they listening? Are they even going to take this shit serious? And then that starts to, kill the culture a little bit. I got a mentor of mine, Glenn Fidel. He's on a TV show called Blue Collar Millionaires, man.
Oh, yeah.
This guy, we're partners in the real estate business. But, he started by doing commercial roofs himself. And then he built it to a gigantic company. It's probably going to go nationwide if it isn't already. And then he's got multiple businesses. But it's just like, he is the most humble. I met him because I drove out. I said, yo, man, I just want to meet you and learn from you. He's a young dude, very successful. And, and just learn from you. See, just maybe ask you a few questions. I'll buy you lunch. He's like, sure, come out to one of my restaurants. So that part of leadership and all the people that work for him too, just like.
So you notice your mentors and their employees, there was a pattern.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was a pattern. And the thing is, you, at some point, you decided to embody that character.
Because
why?
Right?
Like, why are you a good
the
person?
whole goal is you're trying to learn this stuff to make your life easier
Okay.
in the end. Right? So whatever you're trying to do, find out the best ways to do that stuff. How do you do that? You find the people that are damn good at doing it. And then you mimic what they do. And then what happens is you start learning from it, and then you start embodying it, and then you just turn into it. when I was younger, I mean, my parents always taught they're my mentors too. I try and find something in everyone to learn from, right? Just because
you just quoted, right? Abraham Lincoln.
Usually it's what not to do.
This guy's a quote machine over here.
Abraham Lincoln reincarnate.
But no, man,
say that.
I take something from everyone, man, and I put it into, and that what I want to say is like I'll take a little bit of things that I like about you, John, and I just try and like turn it into me. And what happens is like my parents taught me, always do the right things for people, always be the first to help people. So why I'm so big in community service, where I was winning awards. Wow. I got South Jersey Magazine, Man of the Year, all this stuff started unveiling because probably 8 years ago, I decided to raise money for the Make-A-Wish Foundation to send a kid to Disney World. And that was probably one of the first like big things I did. And then the feeling that I got from it was just amazing. And then from 8 years ago on, it's just year after year, I'm just trying to find ways to help people in any way possible. One of my what's right now is or I have a few what's. I separate what's from the why, right? But one of my, as 31-year-old Devin right now, I want to be, a globally known sales coach, motivational speaker in the end. I want to be a big real estate developer. And I want to have a nonprofit organization and be a famous entrepreneur, a globally known entrepreneur. And the reason why I say globally known is because then you can impact more people that way.
Wow.
That's what my
was
what's
that
are
vision
right now.
Born? You're 22 and a half, you're 23 years old, and you want to help? No.
It's life. Well, if you listen to you, and self-awareness, man, Gary Vee talks about this all the time. But man, it's so important when you really think about, when you see things that, what do I really enjoy doing? Like take a minute, take a day, whatever you got to do. People are always trying to figure out other people, like, that's them. You know what I mean? That's what makes them happy. That whatever they're doing right now is because of the gift that they have. That's not, you can't be trying to be other people. So what I found as of right now on my journey is, that's why I made it a point. I said 31-year-old Devon Dinofa, because I don't know where life is going to. All I know is that I'm going to keep pursuing, and I love some of the stuff that my coach says, keep pursuing the my absolute potential. And I'm enjoy the pursuit of your absolute potential. So right now, this is what I have in my vision. 3 years from now, what opportunities come, I have no, it could be something in sports. I don't know. But, and then that, because I'm just trying to excel in everything that I'm doing and being aware, okay, I really like that. And also having the discipline to where, listen, that was just, you're not chasing after, don't be the next shiny object guy. I learned that from a guy, Jeremy Bowers. Awesome, sharp dude.
Do we know? Yeah, he's in the
area.
area.
Yeah, he's in KW Philly. But another example, man, I took some stuff that I learned from him. Like, you can learn something from everyone.
Top 10 coal banker recruiters in the country.
He's a beast, man. And I learned something, too. I posted this, and this is why I think a lot of people relate to me, too, because it's, like, I post, like, real shit. Like, when I lived in South Philly, this guy walking with a shopping cart and a ladder. Dude, he comes like every 2 weeks. And he puts the ladder up against, he knocks on my door, hey, could I clean your windows? And, it's just like, you have to have, we all got successful, the people that weren't trust fund babies. We all got successful from having that grit at some point, right? The problem is people lose it. You know what I mean? But how?
I know,
listen,
sir.
You're human.
Know.
So how do you
the liar lid, I call it.
How do you find ways? You have to trick your mind into remembering to keep this stuff. And I put as a post, I was like, this guy, I love seeing him because he's a dose of medicine for me. It's like, what am I bitching about now that I'm not willing to do? This guy right now is walking door to door. I should be walking my ass door to door to get more business or to figure out ways to do something that was a little bit more gritty to or whatever that thing was that I just did, the 80-20 rule, whatever that 20% thing I had that day that I wanted to do that I was kind of like procrastinating. Like, dude, this guy's out here knocking on doors to make some money. Stop bitching. Do it. You know what I mean? So, and I put that up there, and people, you should have saw it, like, great post. And the thing was, man, social media is such a great thing if you use it the right way. And that probably changed 500 people's day when I posted that.
Yeah.
And some people that may have not have liked it, but you know how many people I get that just hit my inbox that didn't like the post, that didn't comment, that said, hey man, I just want to let you know that post you shared the other day, I was going through that same thing. And when I read that, it changed my whole day. You know what I mean?
So there's a couple things, really cool things there. Social media for a second, right?
Yeah.
Was there a time and place the last couple of years when you realized it would be an asset to your personal and business life? Or did it happen just by you being on it and being on it?
Yeah, when I first...
Was it strategic? Was it a
in the
little
beginning,
bit of both?
it wasn't strategic.
Okay.
You know, when you just... That was... I mean, I think I got my real estate license 6 years ago. This is my 4th full-time year. So, like, when I first got it, I didn't have a business, and I didn't really see the importance of it. And I'll be honest, it's like when I was younger, like 6 years ago, like I don't think I really like had a big focus on like helping up and like really like changing people's lives or day. Like I'm not no damn life changer or whatever. I love having people say, man, you helped me that day, or you know, hey, that would mean the world to me when people...
It wasn't your focus in the beginning.
It wasn't my focus in the beginning.
And I can understand, because it wasn't mine either in my late 20s. It was mostly the resentment that I had towards my mothers for not being there and wanting to fill a void that would never be filled with a material constructed success that other people could, you know, metaphorically put me on a pedestal as their messiah, right? Like, oh, you're awesome. I want to be you. I want to know you. My whole life was focused on me. And lucky enough to be through enough adversity and reflection to overcome myself. Was there a moment for you where you realized that doing for you only was going to be less impactful for you and others than doing for others? Because then you got...
Oh, yeah.
There's a huge shift there. I mean, is it that we got... It's not... We can't even cliche, oh, we got older. How many people I meet that are in their 60s that have companies worth $100 million that really they're worse than kids in Africa with AK-47s because they have bank accounts that screw millions of people's lives over because they just create cultures of misalignment. So it's not an age thing. It's like someone happened for you or something happened for you to be a man at 31. I mean, come on, we're living in a world where there aren't men.
I think maybe I really haven't thought about when the exact time was, but to give you a kind of accurate answer, I would probably say it's when I did that event, the Make-A-Wish Foundation event, and then I started... When I put it out there on social media and I saw all these people, what I did was I made it like a big fundraiser. I got the Eagles, all these people were sending me autographs, like to raffle and all that stuff. When I started seeing how many people enjoyed like helping someone, you know what I mean? And I put it on, I was like, wow, this social media is like, this is an awesome like platform to do good shit with. You know, and
that changed how you viewed how you're going to live your business?
Yeah, well, and that was... I don't know if I didn't even think I had my real estate license then. But then when I got my real estate license, I automatically knew that this is going to be big for my business and my branding. Now, there's certain ways to do it, which is, you know, I have a blueprint and I go and speak to sales teams, real estate companies. It's called How to Build a Business Without Having to Spend a Lot of Money. And one of the big things is social media, but you got to do it the right way, man. And how do you get more business or more people? I don't even like to say more business, just more people that trust you to help them achieve any real estate goals, is by affecting them in a positive way. You know, so showing them, I always say, listen, man, you got to always show people what you're doing, but don't be a robot and post, who wants to sell a house today? Yeah. What's your home's worth? People know. They can see, listings. Especially in the beginning, they probably couldn't read through bullshit. Now, everybody's being sold bullshit. So it's how do you affect people to where they're like, wow, I know what he does, but that team, like my team, my family, like we're all the same people. You know, me, my wife, Andrew Bernardczyk, Tom Wanger, like we're all the same people. And we want to just overly affect people to where they're like, listen, man, I know that they're good at what they do with their business because I see it. And I just love the people that they are. And at the end of the day, I know that in my one piece of my big purpose is, you know, the reason why I want to be I use real estate to help me get to be financially free. Like the big thing is freedom, financially free, because I know that, I'm going to do the right things when I get to that point. The key is like doing it before you even have it. That's the biggest thing, right? So listen, man, I do well. I'm not no millionaire. Like there's times when I do things and I write checks for nonprofits or whatever. I put out money, like we do Christmas events. We give 300 presents away and feed 300 kids. There's times when I'm looking at my bank account and I'm like, whew, you know what I mean? But it's just like it's just when you operate like with value first and just like, man, it's the best medicine for you. 2, it gives you ultimate gratitude, and it helps it helps personal development, it helps mental health too when you're just helping people. And 3, it comes back to you. And no, I can't sit here and write so this is what happened. This led to that. And then this time I did this. Well, that led to that. I can't fucking do that. You know what I mean? Nobody can. All you know is that when you hear it too many times from people who are already in these spaces, like when they operate it like that, and there's just whatever they had envisioned and they put some energy behind it. These people don't just have goals and just, like Jim Carrey says, sit at home on their couch and eat a ham sandwich. No, they have visions, but when they operate on just helping people and doing good shit for people and trying to find ways to make people feel good and doing the good deeds, it's, and I have a big, belief and faith in God, which I'm trying to strengthen up with going to church with my pastor, with my family. I haven't been going to, growing up, my family always believed in God, but I've never been there every Sunday. Thankfully, I met a great pastor from a guy on my network, Brian Regina, and it just changed my life. And what happens is when that's straight, when you're inside of you straight, then things start happening for you. Then you start paying attention. Wow, that's so cool that happened. And there's a lot of things right now. Like, I'm in real estate. I have a name in real estate, but I'm not one of these movers. To be honest, I'm not one of these movers. There's people out there doing 300 transactions a year. There's people really crushing it in real estate. I'm not sitting here, but I'm building out a foundation right now to where for residential real estate, we're starting TCS, we're starting a company in Jersey. I'm building that foundation. I'm getting the right people. My goal is to for just starting this team, we're going to probably do close to 75 or over transactions as a team, just started.
It's amazing.
Right? But I know that in the future, this foundation, I got the right people in place. I got the right, mentors behind it. I know that that's going to blow up in 5 years, and we're going to be doing 300 to 400 transactions. I just believe that. I have the system in place. I have the right blueprint through the right mentors. I know that that's going to happen. I'm not the biggest real estate developer in Philadelphia. I'm a very small scale. I just put this team together a couple of years ago, and we had our bumps and bruises. Right now, we have, like 7 new construction projects on the book. We did some rehabs, all that stuff. Now, again, that's just a foundation. I had to go through some, we went through some crazy shit. But now we have a tight-knit team. So that's another piece of foundation, whether you're thinking of 4 pillars. So I know that all these are long-term plays. Ready? It's short-term mindset, meaning like aggressive patience, Andy Frisella always says. It's knowing that every day I'm going to be aggressive, but I got to have the patience to know that it takes time. My sales coaching, right now I got David coaching me, one of the best coaches in the world. I'm not the best coach in the world, but this is part of my foundation. Right now I'm doing coaching in real estate. I want to do MAPS coaching. Then I want to turn that into, not just real estate business. Like I want to make when I have coaching calls now, there's sometimes when we don't talk about real estate, because at the end of the day, it starts up. If this shit up here isn't straight, you're kiss real estate goodbye, kiss your family life. It doesn't matter what the fuck we're doing outside of this. So sometimes we're having conversations to where it's just trying to get their mindset right, trying to find things that make their mindset switch from, worry and anxiety to gratitude and to, let me put things in perspective here. So I got that coaching foundation built. It's just, these are all long-term plays. And, it's just, the reason why I want to mention this too, because I don't want people to sit here and watch and be like, I'm telling you, like this, it takes time. Like I'm setting the.
And you
It's very
start in
important to
your
set
early
the foundation.
20s.
Yeah, yeah.
You
Oh,
had
hell
a
yeah.
very because you're 22, 23 years old, throwing a helping. You were doing something for a nonprofit. What was
It
the
was
context?
Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Make-A-Wish
We
Foundation.
raised money to send a kid Carl to Disney World.
So you sent a kid named Carl to Disney
Yeah,
World in
yeah.
your early 20s.
Yeah.
And our generation gets a bad rap. Period.
Well, I think that's
for
bullshit.
people.
Yeah.
And that's let's get into that.
Yeah.
But this has been you're 31 now.
Mm-hmm.
8 years tirelessly working, and now I'm seeing a very serious plan in place. Here we are at the top of the building doing a video, of you, all this going on. What Andy Frisella said, what is it?
It says you got to have aggressive patience.
Yeah, I see aggressive patience, and it makes me think. When I was young, like really, really little, I was like that argumentative, like questioning, always asking questions, curious individual. Mm-hmm. It's like always reflecting on things. And I noticed not everyone's like that. Yeah. You're like that. Yeah. You're always inquisitive or like asking questions or figuring out like why.
Because
have you always been like that? Younger.
No, you know what? I haven't always been like that because, it's, I guess, being young and immature. Like, I wasn't looking up, like, as far as, like, where I wanted, like, my end goal, right? I wasn't exposed or I didn't even seek out the big entrepreneurs of the world.
So when you did meet them and you did open yourself up to that, did you start really reflecting
then it's
a lot more?
well, what happens is people think that their shit don't stink once they start doing a little good in something. Yeah. So then they're like, you always, at some point I thought I was a know-it-all in the beginning when I was younger, right? I think everybody when they're younger, you know what I mean? Yeah. They go through that stage to where it's just like, nobody can tell me nothing. I think I have all the answers. And then I was like, you know what? When
Gary Keller said that, by the way.
Yeah.
He felt the same way in college.
Yeah, probably.
He was a know-it-all. He said it. Yeah. I read something in one of his books. Anyways.
But, it's
so
just
you felt that way. Yeah. But that shifted.
It shifted when I set, when I had my clear vision on where I was trying to get and know that, listen, I don't know shit. You know what I mean? Like, I know some stuff, but, in order for you to get to where everybody's learning, man. You know what I mean? When you listen to, and it's so easily accessible on YouTube right now. Like, it's a joke. Like, whoever you want to learn from, just type in a video, and you'll see they're all saying the same shit, the same message. I gotta stop cursing, man.
Oh, it's okay.
I'm making it a point
every
to
time.
not.
Well, you know where cursing comes from.
What?
Biologically, we developed in small tribes. So before we had language, because language led to the written word, that we could develop our conscious, we used guttural noises to warn our colleagues, our hunters, that there were like snakes and predators in the woods. So swearing is like the effect of a causality of a primal instinctual response to fight or flight. So if you think that the lowest frequency human is what? Killing other humans, angry at other humans, fighting with other humans. Swearing is just an audible reflection of their guttural fight or flight response. So anyway, so swearing sucks. It's part of the reason a lot of the gurus that I congregate with don't get into the corporate space. They're not articulate. If you're not articulate, because words are power, the person on the other side, on an unconscious, like axiomatic level, won't be able to respect you at the highest level. Obviously, we don't need to put this out or anything, but swearing definitely sucks, and I've made a commitment to myself as well to do less of it. I could literally go hard right now in a few big names that the reason they're not working in the highest level of the corporate space is because of their unknowing of that knowledge. Yeah. You basically make yourself a squirrel. Yeah. We all do it though, because it's just like, all right, you go into a store to buy clothes, and the person says to you, "Hey, you need help?" Well, logically, they're hired to save you time, money, and energy.
Exactly.
But what is our instinctive response?
No.
I'm just
Yeah.
okay. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that's the metaphorical swear
Yeah.
because it's our reptile brain going, I don't know you, I don't like you, I don't trust you. Hello, we live in it's 2018. The guy is not going to stab you in the chest and take your money, right? He's
Yeah.
going to save you
Yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah.
So it's like nothing to feel like we all do it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's like being upset that you had a thought about, a good-looking person walking down the street.
Yeah.
So what does the next year for you look like? You have, number one, John's here. We're filming.
Yeah.
The respect level right now that I have, Devin, for you, and I'm excited about like where our friendship is going to go, is at the highest level because no one is really capturing this video moment right now. Like the society,
Yeah.
like our society, is video.
Yeah.
Was it a mentor? Was it just like an observation that you thought, I need to do the documentary. I need to do more video. I need to put myself out there.
You know exactly what it was? I'll tell you. It was, I started doing Instagram stories. And I started putting content out there about pretty much what we're always talking about. Like just the shit I go through every day, up at 5:30, going to the gym, blah, blah, blah. And then bad stuff that happens, from business, good stuff that happens, good messages that I heard. And I started getting a lot of responses from people, like good ones. Like, hey, man, just same stuff that I always say where people don't want to come out and be like, just say, hey, you helped me, which is ridiculous. But it made me feel a lot better. People started like commenting some good stuff about like, hey, you were helping me, thanks for that message, or laughing about, wow, nobody shows this shit. You know what I mean? So then I was listening. So as I drive, I listen to podcasts. I try and listen to one every day. But what I want to do is kind of like how you interview people. You go around and interview people. What I want to do is every day try and learn new content also for my coaching too. Because if you don't have the answer, but you know the answer from someone who went through it, then you can give them the value. So my goal is I'm trying to just build what's up in here. So as I was going through, I'm listening to podcasts. One time I was listening to Gary Vee, and he was just talking. Obviously, he's talking about the video logs and all that stuff. And it just makes people like feel like they know you a little bit better. You know what I mean? Because I want to be on the opposite side of the bullshit that's on social media. In the beginning, because it's, I don't want to say it's all like that because just like anything, man, it's like even before that, there was good people and then there was bad people. I think now with how Gary Vee always says, entrepreneurship is cool now. Like everybody says it's cool, but what happens is they try and start something that's going to be here in a year and then they all quit because they think it's some easy stuff. But what I want to do is I see that it's really helping people at a massive level to really think about make their goals for their life bigger, because you only know what you're exposed to, right?
Yeah.
So if I didn't have YouTube or none of this stuff, if I didn't have Instagram, I would have never even known who I would have never known who David Meltzer was.
Wow.
It's all. So what I did was I started listening and then I started. The one thing that changed my life as far as my business is concerned and my mindset, and I always say this because I start when I do my sales seminars, I'll start with this video. It's the Eric Thomas video, if you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe. When I saw that video, then I was hooked to watching him. And then I was like, wow, that's cool. I've met him now at some of his conferences, but someone who I've never even met, right? You know how many people that guy affected? And I know he changed my life. You know what I mean? And that's just from the internet. Yeah. There's this guy who I spoke to. He owns a company. It's called Public and Permanent. And he goes and travels the whole country and speaks to schools about how to use social media. Because everybody thinks it's the worst thing in the world, right? And one thing he says about to the kids, he picks up a cell phone, right? And he goes, look, think of this as matches, right? He goes, kids, if you're taught how to, you can do two things with these matches. You can strike them and burn a house down, or you can strike them, start a campfire that will feed you and help you live for the next 50 years, right? So it's all about, like, the problem is children and even adults now have to be taught how to use it. It came so fast, right? They got to be taught. It can do some unbelievably powerful things, and it's already done helped. You know how many times you see people are donating their birthdays to a
it's like
nonprofit.
crazy, amazing.
Before social media, was anybody doing that shit? Hell no.
It was harder,
You know,
to do that.
And the thing is, it's because it's different and it's evolving. Everybody wants. When people don't know shit, they think the automatic worst of it.
Wait,
and they try,
really? I could never resonate with that.
No, it's,
I could never empathize. Hello, have
Yeah.
you met me?
Yeah.
I'm walking down the street. I got one guy give me a high five. The other guy spit on me.
Yeah. Well, that's it.
You know,
Yeah.
that's just the reality of life. You know, you shine a magnifier or a flashlight over a mouse, it's either going to run away or bite you.
No, so what's up, man?
Like, you put something out there that's the truth.
Oh yeah.
Like, or any,
Yeah.
because it's a new truth. Like the car.
Yeah.
Henry Ford was an asshole.
Yeah.
Here's the guttural noises. Right? There's no snakes. It's okay. No, he was a jerk off to everyone. It's like social media embodies that.
Yeah.
You being out there, I mean, I actually have heard a lot of great things about you from people, so that says a hell of a lot about your character. But it's interesting because if we do look through history, life is just cycles of this.
Yeah.
It's deconstructing itself and it's reconstructing itself. And it's really a pleasure to talk to someone that, and this is an important thing because I feel like we have a responsibility being, you know, we're technically millennials or something in those generations. We have a responsibility to vlog our life.
Yeah.
We have a responsibility to tell the truth.
Yeah.
We have a responsibility to put it out there because people don't believe that it's possible to be a responsible, mature man, I think, or woman in our generation right now in the marketplace. Is that something that you have had to deal with a lot in your business? You've been in business 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, in your early 30s now, dealing with people at a high level of success. Is it something that comes up a lot? Like age, youth, experience. Do you, like, how do you overcome it? Is it something that
So I'll tell you
you're
exactly
working on?
I'll tell you exactly, and this is what I teach at, with networking, part of my blueprint. So what I've learned is when I go to some of these networking events, you know, obviously I'm 31, younger, on the younger side. I don't want to say I'm real young because then, but I would go and, you know, a lot of the older generation, they see a young guy, you know, there's not too many like 30-year-old or under at these events. Now there's starting to be a little bit more. But what happens is when I'm in these rooms with 200 people, you know, a lot of times they'll just, they'll talk to you a little bit and then they'll try and go to someone a little bit older, maybe with a better suit on, something like that. So you don't really get good conversations because they don't kind of believe in you yet. They don't really know you. So what I do is, you know, I'll get their business card, right? As I talk to them, even if you want to talk to me I'll find a way, ask about them. Oh, awesome, give me a card. You know, we'll connect later. I'll try and find ways to see where I can help you out. And then they'll just shoot me. Then I'll connect them on Facebook, and I'll connect them on LinkedIn, right? And what that does is because I brand myself, I let people who know what I do, the type of person I am, and you can see my work ethic and what I do around, you know, the greater Philadelphia area. What happens is the next time when I'm at that event, they look at me a lot different now. Because then they're like, wow, I saw you in a picture with so-and-so at this other event. Maybe he's not, you know, just a young kid who's trying to just come in here and act like he knows what he's doing.
Interesting.
So that is one way I kind of, you know, now in the real estate business, what I've learned was at a young age, you know, I wanted to sell higher priced properties, right? At my age, I got in, I don't know, maybe 25, 26 years old. You know, those age groups, they're not at the point in their life, most of them, to where they're buying their forever $600, $700, $800 million house.
Yeah.
So what I said to myself, how could I speed this up, right? How could I start selling, you know, more luxury real estate or just higher priced? Well, what I figured out was I got to get out there and meet these people and create relationships and friendships so that they trust me, right? So that's where networking came in. Now, you know, it just a few years into it, I'm getting referrals for $700,000, $800,000, $900,000 houses. People are trusting me now because now they're telling me about their friends. They know me now. They know that I can do a great job. They can trust me, and my team works around the clock. So if you find ways to get around it, there's always going to be that, I still go on listing appointments to where at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what I put in my listing game plan when I talk about all the marketing we do, which touches on everything. I mean, one of my listings got top 10 most popular listings in the country on Realtor.com.
That's amazing.
So you think that after going through all this, they'd be like, dude, there ain't nothing else I got to worry about. But then you get, if it's like one of those yuppier neighborhoods, you get someone that's in there, 40, 50 years old. They just, I guess, relate to them a little bit more, even though the marketing is nowhere near what mine possibly could. And not saying this is the case for all older. There's, I know a bunch of agents, all ages, that crush it. But I'm to your point of the struggles of being young in this business, how it can make it difficult. Sometimes they just relate to the older person, and even though you blew them away, it's just that, but he just seems a little too young, So that's where it comes and will kick me in the butt sometimes in the business. But listen, man, that doesn't matter.
Are your people you associate with? Have you have friends your age, or are they older? A lot of people.
Oh, my my friends that I grew up with.
You still?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh, 100%.
So besides those, the loyal relationships that you had for years, you find yourself associating more with like older people in business.
I have friendship. So I have friendships too with that's the thing, man. People. You be effective at networking when people know that you're not just there to get, to ask, right? You're specifically going out to create friendships, right? So unfortunately for me, the friendships that I created caused 9-10 people to knock on my door at 6 o'clock in the morning, bombarding my house for breakfast. So, which I'll explain this story. Like, again, we made friendships. So, through networking, and my younger friends, they're like, what in the world? Like, why would you let these people in? Well, it's just, what happens is, like, I'll drop a few names. Mike Regina,
He's funny.
Yeah, he owns a Big Sky, LLC. I got Rick D. Michelle. He's a big attorney in Camden County. Lior, but like the people, Vince, I can go on and on. The people, like, besides them being great people, but it's the what they do and where they're at in business. There's some pretty good people, like as far as businesses too, by the way.
Of course,
So when I explain to them, listen, man, they're friends that I met just from business, and then who are they? And then I go and tell them, well, what they do. They're like, holy shit, you know what I mean? So. That's the key is you got to go out knowing you can't withdraw from an area you don't go to an ATM machine or your bank, right? If you don't make deposits, you can't withdraw any money. So that's the way I look at stuff now, man. I don't know where I heard that from, but it just stuck with me.
Yeah, I've been hearing that a lot.
And I
lately.
was like, a lot of times, just so you know, I steal a lot of people's shit.
Well, who else did that? Leonardo da Vinci. Good artist, copy. Yeah. Great artist, steal. I'll be your wingman. I'll come in hit him with the quote after.
But yeah, man, that's my mindset for networking. It's like, man, listen, it's not who are you, what do you do? It's develop different, like, where are you from? You know what I mean? You got a family.
So I'm sitting with a client, and he said this to me. He was in Aspen or something like that, and it really stuck out to me. I wrote about it, which has helped me grow, by the way, as well. A lot of that. He was sitting with a billionaire that he didn't even know was a billionaire. It was just a guy that was at this club or lodge or whatever. And the guy never asked what he did. He goes, "What are you doing later?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm free." He's like, "Yeah, come to my house." The guy was dressed like a homeless person. Yeah. He goes to his house. It is the mountain. It was like, it inspired me. Like, not what are you doing or what do you do? Yeah. Ask someone, what are you doing later? Yeah. It's like the mindset.
Well, it will. It's so funny. You want to stand out? Ask someone about them. Just like a regular, like human conversation. That will throw people off. Wait, what? He's not bombarding me, or he or she is not bombarding me with, what do I do? Like the robots, like robots with suits. And you know what I mean? Ask someone about them. Like, you got kids? Like, where? It's like, and then it makes them be like, wow, like, this guy actually gives a shit. And naturally, what comes after that? Good. So you've been in. Okay. What company you with? You know what I mean? It's Jersey, Philly.
It's interesting you bring that up because since I decided to primarily operate as a human, genuinely have built relationships, and also at the same time have decided not to do business with many, many, many people.
Yeah,
because our character doesn't align, maybe.
Yeah.
We don't believe in the same things, maybe. And now, if they don't believe in what I believe that that's okay. So I'm curious, what is the most important character trait that you feel like you embody? And what is one that, like, you know, like some people have... Lance Bachman blew my mind. One SEO founder who told me a story about a guy who was in his late 60s who wanted a sales job he ran AT&T or something like that. And he got turned down, but he basically kept coming back. He failed the test. He came back. He's the only person to ever take it twice. And it was his willpower that got him the job, and he ended up being the best salesperson. So to like Lance, like willpower, he respects that. What's your word, you know? So
to that story that you just said, I failed my real estate test 5 times. I probably have the record. I don't know if anybody failed it more than that. I had to go back
like twice
the next year and go back to the school because I didn't pass it the whole year. I had to go back the next year, and then I finally passed it. And you ever see that picture where the guy's chopping a wall and there's like diamonds behind it? And he quits like on the last chop. Like, imagine if it's crazy. Imagine if I would have just been like, you know what? Maybe real estate isn't for me. You know? And this vehicle from real estate it took me to all these places outside of real estate too. You know what I mean? It's funny how is
that your word?
No. I get persistence.
If you did that 5 times, that might be. And I need to introduce you to Lance if you don't know.
I want to say honesty, because like, you know, when I say I'm going to do something, or like, that's a big thing for me. You know what I mean? But I guess persistence too. I want to give you 2 words. If I had to give you the most important one, is honesty. But when it comes to business too, honesty and persistence.
What is it's the biggest character turnoff?
Biggest character turnoff.
Yes, like someone just embodies what you just are not interested in associating yourself with. You know, who should not reach out to you?
Just unauthentic people. Like people that you just have a conversation with, and you just feel like, are they paying attention to me? Are they even listening to me? What is it that they want from me? You know what I mean? Do they even give a shit? You know, like, which then is coupled up with dishonest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you can find that. You know, I feel like I can see that. You know what I mean? And then there's certain cases to where, hey, you know, the next time around, maybe it was a little bit, like that's happened to me a few times, to where I thought the first time I was like, I couldn't get really a good read on, I just couldn't get a good read on someone, right? To your point, right? I think when I first met you, you were all suited up and shit like that. I was like,
at least I'm consistent.
And then I just couldn't really get a read on you, right? At first. And we had 200 something people in there. So then, like this time around, I'm like, when I met you, and then after that, I started, seeing you, like listening to your stuff. So I was like, okay, I'm getting to know him a little bit better. Which social media, to your point.
God bless social media.
And then now, like I'm listening to a lot of the stuff that you're saying and the questions that you're asking and stuff like that, to where it's, hey, I'm a lot more comfortable with you now. Like, but to your point, like I can't say that you're never perfect, right? Just like hiring, right?
Yeah.
You can't know if like this person is 100%, you're never going to have to worry about this person, but I feel like you know what I'm talking about, where you can kind of get a gut feeling to where I'm sure people that in interview, right, sometime, or in with your culture business too, you probably meet like a CEO and they're like, all right, this young guy, and they're probably like, you're trying to have a talk with them and they're like, maybe checking an email or like looking behind you, and it's just like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, and then you're like, I can't wait to show you.
What do you do in that scenario?
well, I talk pretty loud, so I'll find a way to get their attention. But, hey, at the end of the day, you can't sell to unsellable people sometimes. You know what I mean? It's
so, two thoughts on that. Number one is you wouldn't be the first.
Yeah. And that's how we're just being honest.
Which I appreciate. You know what I mean? Well, that's telling the truth, man.
And it's all what we were talking about anyway the whole time.
100% it is the common denominator. Our brains are designed, hardwired to attempt to conceptualize things.
Yeah.
So I haven't been very clear with anyone of what I do.
Yeah.
That was my intent. It wasn't to actually tell anyone of anything. It was to just personally develop myself and use the internet.
Yeah.
That has become what it has become. But doing that, of course it's going to polarize someone. Yeah. Because when people don't know something, they create something. It's in our nature. I just have to discipline myself, and it's not a discipline. It's a genuine love. This is my favorite quote. A lion will not be angered over a mouse. His relative power is too great. Defensiveness betrays weakness.
Yeah.
And I got one a little less aggressive. A person of power will be courteous and friendly, and may even love his enemies, as they present means or obstacles for him to test his strength. Right? So a person of power, a person that is aligned with himself, that knows who they are, has a degree of understanding for something that they're really good at, that they can serve others. They'll be courteous and friendly to someone that may not believe in them at the time. And that's going to test their strength. A woman was very rude to me on Facebook yesterday. On a mutual real estate friend's, I just said something and they interpreted through their lens. And very rude. And my response, remember the guttural swearing, right? All of that. Immediately I'm like, pride, which is the shield of insecurity. I stopped. And I responded with, I appreciate what you're saying. Be blessed. Have a great day. There isn't anything that I'm going to say to guru that person into overcoming themselves in that moment. Yeah. And there definitely isn't something that would be valuable that will come out of me feeding that fire.
Yeah.
But, how hard is that, Devin, right? How hard is it not to feed into people? So it's going back to that CEO in that boardroom, the simplest thing to do is to tell them to stop looking at their phone.
Yeah.
The simplest, and for me, that's what actually works. Stop looking at your phone. You have high turnover. Yeah. You're not happy in your marriage. That's translated to how you treat your customers. Your customers aren't showing up on time when they're dictators that got people to show up on time to kill other humans. You got a problem, and you're avoiding this by putting me in a box of age or income or experience to justify why you don't want to face your fears. So stop looking at your phone. That's seriously usually what happens.
Yeah.
And I get you just got me riled up because now I'm thinking about what
do
I get out of what I do.
As I'm saying that, you envision it, and then you think of times when it happened to you. And then your
mind is beautiful, right?
I remember that. Yeah.
Oh my God! But no, I don't know where I was going with all that. I got another quote, but we'll save that for another time. I think the battery is dying. Right? The battery is dying.
You
all right, last question. Knowing what you know today, because you have irons in the fire. You have your developments, this team you're doing, South Jersey, sales coaching, mentorship, a family that's growing, at least 13 more kids on the way. I'm just kidding. Knowing what you know today, if you were to talk to yourself at 22 before you did that Make-A-Wish foundation endeavor with Carl there, knowing what you know today, what would you have told yourself the day before you got started with the Make-A-Wish Foundation?
Well, again, we don't have enough time on that camera to talk about some things. But for the most part, the one quote that I love, and it was from Steve Jobs, it says, you can't connect the dots looking forward, you can only connect them, looking backwards. Right? He goes, you just have to trust that the dots will align in the end. But it's only if you're truly pursuing what you love to do.
Wow.
And the big thing that I would say is, remember, the next shot, not every opportunity is for you. You know what I mean? It's
100%.
Because what you find is when you start growing in business and making a name, then you start getting approached by all types of shit. And then you're like, oh, this, that, next shiny object. But it's just like, I'm listening to this awesome podcast, man. It's a Keller Williams one, which that I don't want to plug the I'll plug it. When I switched over there, man. It's called the One Thing podcast.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay,
but
great book.
That one, it's so true. It's like focus on right now. Like these are all like foundations. Like boom, I got the foundation built for this. Like, don't jump into another thing without like. You know what I mean? Like get this straight first. Focus on this first.
So you think you would have given yourself the one thing when you were 22, 23 years old? That book?
Yeah, but you know what's crazy? I really truly believe, like with that quote that I just said with Steve Jobs, my life, I jumped into different things and it all makes sense. It all makes sense now.
Wow.
And it turned me to who I am.
Wow.
And life happens for you, and you never understand when it happens at that time. Now if you make the same mistake, that's your fault. If you make the same mistake again, but life happens for you, and as long as you're pursuing something positive, it will align you in a positive path. But just because you get fired from a job here, or when I got kicked off the football team my senior year. Screw it, life happens for me. Let me go do drugs. Like that doesn't mean that. You know what I mean? Like that's why I try and like get that in there. Like as long as you're pursuing your positive potential, like it will all make sense in the end.
Well, I got
a
comment. I want to, something I want to share with you. Your ability, your habituation to always look back and connect those dots. Steve Jobs quote. Yeah. That's really profound. It's not something that everyone does.
Yeah.
Or else we wouldn't keep repeating history.
Yeah.
So that's awesome, dude.
Awesome,
yeah, this was awesome.